right, moving on to the fuel tank. Fuel tank's another huge issue. You've got this bolt here that's completely bottomed out. I mean, it's just a little bit of common sense. It's not even touching here. They just needed to use a shorter bolt, but just weren't paying attention apparently. You've got same thing back here.
It's bottomed out.
Bolt is completely bottomed out. Then you've got your drive shaft. It's actually hitting, it's resting right up against the fuel tank. So if this truck was to ever to drive, it would obviously just tear up that fuel tank. This is a brand new fuel tank in here. So that's a huge safety concern. Coming over here, looks like this custom mount that they built here for to drop the fuel tank down for the lift kit is turned around backwards. So it's actually digging into the plastic. Kind of see it there, which is another huge concern. So if the drive shaft wasn't going to get you, the lift kit that they installed is.
Got the connector here melted on the exhaust at some point.
Apparently the customer stated the exhaust was glowing red hot, which is evident because they wrapped it in these exhaust wrap, this insulation, try to cut down on the heat, and it also melted through this line here, electrical harness. You've got exposed wires up here, connectors all over the place. Again, really shoddy work. If you're going to do that, you need to have this thing wired in properly. Look at, you've got a ground and a positive with exposed terminals that could potentially jostle around and spark across there or connect across, shorting the system out. There's some severe issues to be concerned with.
You know, you can see they use butt splices. I mean, the problem with this is if one of these speed sensor wires falls out, you're stuck in first gear. I mean, they had the body off this vehicle at one time. I just don't see why they wouldn't have soldered that. That's such a simple thing to do. They also, I'm not sure if this was before or after the conversion, but could have repaired this with the body off, melted.
You know what, he did say that it was running red hot, so that probably melted it.
Yeah.
Did you go over the zip ties and the rivet for the plug, the fuel, or the vent line plug?
No.
This is great.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, here it is. So they apparently really utilize a lot of zip ties.
Where's that fuel pump?
And here's the
over here on my cart.
rivet to act as a plug. Oh, look at this guy. This is really interesting. You've got this bracket. Okay, again, keep in mind, would you want this on your Hummer? This is literally a homemade bracket, and they've welded a tab on here, and from the back of the tab, they welded a bolt on it. So then you've got these two screws that are, one of them stripped, and then that's holding it in, and it's incorrect.
It keeps it from rotating
recessed
down.
head screw in there, but I don't understand why they would use a bolt.
More butt splices instead of soldering.
Yeah, butt splices there.
They also omitted the transfer case and transmission venting system, which Hummer brings the vents way up top for deep water forging. So
you got to screw in the vent line here. Then the vent line then routes behind over here, and it runs in between the tank. I'm not sure if you can see it there. It runs in between the tank and the frame, so that's going to eventually
top of the frame rail.
wear out.
Here's the fuel pump that they used, the intake, or I mean the external fuel pump. Not really sure of the make of it, but it appears to be a low-end one. Obviously it failed very quickly, so don't know if it was something that they did or just a cheap pump. But if it didn't make it any amount of time, then there's no way you can use this. You got to find a different design. I took it off the vehicle, made sure there was no supply line restriction or anything like that. I just hooked it up to battery power and nothing. Makes noise, but no pump. So, yeah. Here's somewhat of a safety hazard. This is your steering shaft. It's jammed up against the rubber steering boot, and that rubber will grab onto that steering shaft as you're trying to spin the wheel. It doesn't, I'm not sure that they even have the hole notched out big enough. It looks like there's a little bit of body flex. That brace right there across the body is going to be dragging against the steering shaft. It probably should have been notched out. Also, part of their lift kit, it normally comes with some aluminum 1/2-inch spacer blocks to spread the load of the lift. For whatever reason, they decided to omit them, and that's just going to cause those rubber body bushings to wear out that much faster.
Here's something else too. You've got this line. I just found this one. You've got this line right here. It's pinched underneath the actual rocker panel, and then it pops out over here.
AC hose.
Okay, so you got your AC hose pinched underneath there. I think it's really hard to get to it, but you can see how it's just shoved right underneath there. I don't understand.
Yeah, this is part of the vent system. It's rubbing on the exhaust right here. You know, it's just a PVC plastic vent line, so it's going to melt. They do have the wrap on it,
but it's already worn through right here. Yeah, we just found this one, and we've been on this truck, a couple guys just going through it for a full day now.
Yeah, it looks like
still finding a lot of
this
stuff.
positive cable, if it's not already touching, it's really close to hitting this heat shield. Probably just arc weld itself a nice little hole, but still, you know, it's not something you want to see. Electrical tape instead of heat shrink.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the inside of the truck. Jeff, why don't you go ahead and show them what's going on here?
Well, I mean, this is the condition the truck came in. The gauges are just hanging out. Seemed like everything was real incomplete. You turn the ignition on. I was just checking things out, and I noticed that when you shift it into reverse, the dash lights come on, the hood light comes on, some of the marker lights also initiate.
Maybe that's an indication to the driver that it's in gear. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they included this because, as you can see, the shifter being in reverse, I can still crank the vehicle. Now, lucky the thing never ran, or ran for a short time, but that's extremely dangerous. Any gear, it'll start.
Which that can end up killing somebody, right?
Yeah, and I don't understand. This thing is almost redundant in its neutral safety switch systems. You could take it off the Allison if you wanted to wire it that way, or there's a very simple neutral safety switch incorporated in every H1 into the shift linkage itself. So either way, I don't understand bypassing it, and somebody would have had to purposely bypass it. My only guess is it would be out of laziness just because it was easier to wire like that. I think I might have mentioned, this is the wrong steering stock. You could never make cruise control work with this steering stock. It needs to be upgraded, but you can make cruise control function. The brake switch is not hooked up to the ECM. There's two switches on it, the brake switch input and the torque converter clutch input. Again, cruise won't work. Your torque converter clutch isn't going to work properly, causes all kind of problems. It's fairly simple to hook up. I'm not sure why it wasn't hooked up. So
let's see that one more time.
Which one?
When you throw it in reverse.
Oh, you want to see that again? I like that.
Woo! Wait, the back ones are going too.
The backup lights to it.
Yeah, it's beyond me. I mean, obviously we'll fix it and figure out, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure as we go, once we get the thing running, get a fuel pump in, we're going to find a bunch more issues with it, but this is just the tip of the iceberg, I'm sure. Obviously, somebody was looking for profits. They weren't caring about quality. They definitely weren't caring about safety. I mean, a man could be hauling his kids in this vehicle. Any number of problems could happen that, you know, could cause bodily injury, or, you know, hopefully not, but you can't just throw things together like this, collect a paycheck, and go home at the end of the day. So,
Thanks, Jeff.